and gentlemen, this is a meeting of the Land Use Committee of Community Board number 8. The agenda, which is sparse, thank goodness, does not mention two issues which I will ask the committee permission to add to the agenda tonight. Issue number 1 is something that was called to our attention within the last 15 minutes concerning 3963 Saxon Avenue, which is part of the project in and around the Van Cortlandt Village area. The second one relates to a question resulting from the decision of the electorate proving itself to be unwise concerning the adoption of certain of the charter revision amendments. With your permission, if you approve, I would like to add those two to the agenda. Do I have your consent? Laura? Do I have your consent?
Yeah.
And
Laura just,
you have
The
some-
committee.
okay. Marty, are you on board?
I'm on board.
Let me deal with the Van Cortlandt Village thing. I have not fully read this. The claim is, and it appears to be validly founded, that the sponsor of this proposed demolition and construction failed to provide the statutory adequate notice, forwarding the notice to someplace involving community board number 2, not community board, demolition notice. Therefore, we have not to this day received official notice, but have now been made aware of it belatedly. If they are correct, I would like authorization for either Marty as chairman of the subcommittee that hounds all those nice people over there for the benefit of the community at large, or me to communicate with the city and with the developer that either they withdraw and start anew, or we will commence proceedings, or we will reserve the right to proceed before the BSA to cancel their certificate of occupancy if, as and when they should ever occupy the premises. Do I have your consent? Okay, Marty?
Since you adopt, yeah, okay.
All right, Laura?
Okay.
Now let me get to the toughie.
Except that
Um,
Chuck, I need some of those details you just elicited. I don't have all that information.
They will all be mailed to you, and I will show you, as I always do, what I do before I do it.
I
Okay,
need to make a copy of.
she'll make a copy and send it to you. What it is the normal demolition notice is 10 days in advance to the community board. They didn't, we have a copy of the receipt, which showed they send that notice to community board number 2, not to this board. All right?
Okay.
All right, so I'll send this to you, or Farrell will send it to you promptly. The second issue, and I'm jumping ahead on the agenda, bless you,
Thank you.
is the following. There are 2 issues that have to be combined for your thinking. The electorate yesterday adopted the proposal advanced by the mayor's commission that would allow all of the powers of the city council, the borough presidents, etc., to be negated in favor of a centralized office of the mayor, in connection with ULIP and the like. We're not functioning on ULIP at the moment, but I am functioning on affordable housing. It's a wonderful slogan. It can get anybody elected anything and enact anything anytime. But it's someone who sits and has for 20 years on the entity that provides the money for affordable housing in this town. I can tell you, they're nowhere near coming to grips with the real issue. A, they haven't even defined what's affordable. B, they haven't come to grips with how you make it affordable. And C, they haven't defined affordable. The three tie together as follows. There are apartment houses in this town in very luxurious settings where 10 of the apartments are quote affordable. The remaining 190 are not. The building is declared an affordable housing project. And it gets all the benefits attendant to that. So you can create affordability without really helping the public that needs it the most. I have the following concern created by the action that was taken last year. Last year, under City of Yes, the electorate agreed to the idea that you could build in the backyard of a small home a larger building and call it a mother-in-law house. If you do a zoning lot merger for several of those backyards, query, will you be able to argue that the combination affords you the opportunity to build a 10-story building in terms of pure FAR, and that the zoning restriction of whether the R1 or R2 have been lifted by City of Yes? This is something that concerns me greatly because A, city planning's current leadership has no regard for single-family home use. None. Makes no bones about it. The Mandami platform is for affordable housing, doesn't define what its terms are or the like, and has not made clear whether it's going on the question of single-family homes, as contrasted with high-rise building. If it adopts the approach of the current City Planning Commission, we could wind up with North Riverdale gone in no short order. I need to give you some background. In 1966, the electorate in the Bronx elected Herman Badillo the borough president. Herman had been the city's commissioner of relocation. He was a friend who later became my law partner. Herman had a purpose. If the Bronx became more Latino, and he admitted this, he would have a good chance for becoming an elected public official from the Bronx. And so, as relocation commissioner, with the city of New York and the federal government clamping down on urban renewal and other construction sites, there was a large pool of people who required relocation. He divided that relocation, sending the Latinos primarily to the Bronx and the African Americans or the Caribbean Americans down to Brooklyn. Both things took hold very well. At the same time, there was a development being built called Concourse Building. That was under the jurisdiction of the borough president for some of the closeout details. And so he acted to say, why don't we clean up portions of the Bronx and provide appropriate housing for people? And poof, the Jewish community residing in the Grand Concourse wound up en masse departing for Concourse Village. That was the original destination. They then moved out of town. And at the same time, the concourse opened up, relocation, borough president, ethnic geography. In some ways, it was highly beneficial, gave the Latino community a chance to uplift itself and get better housing than it had. And that was a big plus. On the downside, the degree to which this happened and the rapidity, it all happened in under 2 years. That's how quickly. the rapidity with which it happened had an incredible effect, taking that entire area of the lower Bronx and changing it overnight, comparatively. Now, having said that, there is that same kind of possibility if you have the potential, for example, of combining the various zoning resolution provisions that have been changed or charter revision proposals that have been adopted and start to put more high-rise comparatively in the backyards. You don't need more than 2 blocks of that happening, and you will empty out the North Bronx. That is not in the public interest, in my view. I want you to think about whether, in your view, it is in the public interest. Because I want to focus on where we're going. That's what I wanted to call your attention to. I want you to think about this as a serious issue. Because what I am going to propose to you is to ask our council members to support a resolution that in words or in substance, I want you to think about it, I'm not going to do it tonight. To think about a resolution that we had asked a couple of years ago, a requirement that in the event a zoning lot merger is proposed, they must give notice to the community board X number of days, more than 30, in advance, so that the community board can focus on what's going to happen here. This is not a good situation. I mean, if I have a view that single family homes are needed in the city of New York, we are effectively a suburb of Manhattan, just as Queens and Staten Island are. I view Brooklyn as a swamp, but that's a different issue. But those are the kind of things that I think we need to watch. That is a true administration of land use. And so my purpose in raising this with you now and calling it to Julie's specific attention, and I'm glad Randy's on for sure. I tried to get hold of Eric earlier today to focus on it. And if you would do that with the great man himself, Jeffrey, that would be appreciated. I think we have to figure out what is the future of a very sensitive area of our community, which is North Riverdale. There have been incursions and attempted incursions there for years. And if it is your view that that's something that ought to be left alone and let the free market deal with it, that's a view. I don't think it's in the public interest. I think the same issue applies. I went today to the Northeast Bronx. I went to an area that I had not been to in some years. It is east of Montefiore in that area, going over to Woodhull in that area. It's an area in a rapid stage of changing population. And you can physically see where the change has had an impact, because there's many more of those houses that were once privately owned and well maintained that are now rentals and are maintained as many of the rentals are in the city of New York. You can see physically just walking and driving through the changes. That's another typical area that has the potential of having a problem in the not too distant future. I have no comments as to what would be the case in the approach of the Mamdani administration. I have no idea where they're headed. I met with 2 city agency leaders last week. They have no idea either, even though they've been in this area for a long, long time in the housing area. That's a question. Believe it or not, I have less concern, if any, concerning the major developers in New York. They're pretty predictable as to what they will do and where they will go. I do have a concern about the guy who's building one house on a loan that may or may not be paid, and then flipping it out after he's gotten the benefits of the zoning. That's a phenomenon that's been around this town forever in 3 days, and there are tons of those folks. But, and Dan Rowan focused on one group of those in a project he mentioned to me during the course of this week. We have got to start, in my opinion, paying some attention to what it is in this community that requires particular attention, if anything, and what attention does it deserve? I'm going to put that on the agenda for the discussion at the next meeting. I really would like everybody to give it thought so that we know what we're talking about as we set to do it. I'm going to ask Randy to see if she can persuade our two responsible elected officials in this community to see if they can zoom in or tie in so that we can get the benefit of their thinking on that issue. Did you hear me, Randy?
She's muted.
Are you with me, Randy?
Yeah, she's muted. Hold on.
You have pictures here.
Sometimes they're on a call while they're.
Sorry,
Well,
I
also
was on a
just-
call. Sorry.
Did you hear me?
I didn't hear you. I'm talking to Jeff.
All right. We are going to, at the next meeting,
Yes.
have a discussion that is based on the following. Based on my experience, some of which I outlined to you as a specific example a few moments ago, there are several areas, this borough in the north, especially,
Mhm.
that have, in my view, a high degree of sensitivity, not based on Mandami, because I have no idea where he's going. I'm not sure he does. Okay? I have it on the basis of the city electorate having voted for the 2 charter revision commission proposals in a row.
I
One
heard.
city yes, and the other one yesterday, one day before. Those proposals have combined can destroy a single family home.
That's what
nature,
I was just telling Jeff on the telephone, what you were saying. Yes.
So she did hear that.
Yes,
right?
I did hear it.
I would like to have this committee specifically vote, not vote, but pay attention to that issue at the next meeting. There are some things that are obvious that can be done. One is to require that when zoning lot mergers occur, and they will be necessary in order to defeat the zoning requirements that survive in the small home area. And they will happen very quickly. That they give notice first to the community board so that it can harness whatever resources and help. That's obviously the Dinowitzes and others to make sure that the people in the small homes are protected. The question being, is that the view of the land use committee or only that crazy kook murderer? That's the first issue I would like to have you call to both of their attention. I called Eric, I couldn't get him today.
He's in Puerto Rico and Jeff's actually on the phone right now.
Okay, what I would like the two of them to see if they can have you or somebody hone in on that issue so that you can join us with their assent or whatever at the next meeting when this is on the agenda. The issues are: 1, do we believe it is in the public interest as an essential prerequisite to the preservation of single-family homes and single-family communities and community board aid? If the answer to that question is yes, what are the measures, if any, that we could or should take given our limitations? More and more, the efforts to denude the community boards of any authority is moving forward. And given the present rate, I'm not even sure there's any sense in keeping them alive, other than pretense that they serve a purpose. All right?
Okay.
But the question is, if there is a purpose, What is it we can do?
You got it.
I'll give you an example. There was a proposal a couple of years ago, which I know Eric supported at the time, that required an owner of property who seeks to have a zoning lot merger give notice to the community boards and other people of sufficient time to let them figure out whether that's makes sense. Let me give you an example. Put in your mind's eye any one block north of, let's say, 256th Street, all right? And over in the northeast, okay? You know that they all have a backyard that's a postage stamp backyard. In some cases, more than a postage stamp, 2 postage stamps, all right?
Yep.
But they are all lined up in a row. And if I have a zoning lot merger between that portion and a realignment, I now have good FAR. I can go way up, thanks to City of Yes and this thing combined. That's just one example of the kind of concern I have. There are other areas, as I said, I went to the northeast Bronx today, around the Woodhull Avenue there. See the same thing, only worse. I see deterioration. It's going to be a real problem in no time at all. It's going to happen with fire. You will mark my words. So I would like us to think what we have here. We have this problem in the Northeast. We have it to a degree in Fieldson, because the outgoing mayor and his chairman of planning commission were really, and I admire their candor, bent on destroying what they called elitist activity. I mean, that's what they wanted to do, both of them. And I worry less about the large developers. I don't really worry about them at all. The ones I'm concerned about, the fly-by-nights who come and go and build a building that's crap. And then walk away from it and flip it out. They're just looking for the mortgage money on it. So those are the bits and pieces I'd like us to be in a position to focus on at the next meeting.
When you say northeast, are you referring to the northern end between Riverdale Avenue and Broadway?
Yes.
Okay, so the northeast part of our
Yes.
district.
But you have it.
Yep.
To a lesser degree in and around Fieldston.
Mhm.
You have it in Spike Nettle.
Right, Neville, yep. Yep.
Kingsbridge, even.
You have it in Kingsbridge, plenty, and it's already started there. Started there a few years ago.
Well, and
And just to show you how much it's started there.
Didn't we
Yeah.
look at 2 proposals,
Yep.
down in Kingsbridge?
Correct.
East and west, or north and south of
Correct.
231st Street or 230th Street,
Correct.
right?
And up the hill,
Hill.
up the hill, Rosemary Ginty focused on a group of them off University Avenue, Laughlin Avenue in that area. Okay, so that's another portion of it. Query, do we believe that it is our job to preserve single-family homes?
I think another thing we should contemplate in that is the degree of transit. You know, I'm very comfortable with construction around transit-oriented areas such as Broadway, Jerome Avenue, White Plains Avenue, because White Plains Road, excuse me, because they can handle 7 to 10 story buildings.
Not my prime consideration. Let me
I-
tell you why.
well,
It's a
what-
valid additional consideration.
Right.
My primary consideration is Sam Smith worked long and hard in the post office.
Mhm.
He's finally put some money
Mhm.
together and he wants to buy a house and have a right of his own. He does it, and that is exactly what happened in the Kingsbridge area.
Right.
Indeed, one of the leaders of that movement is now a member of the board. I don't remember her name, but she's on the board. She came on last year. This is very, very dangerous for those folks.
No, I agree. I was just trying, I'm actually pointing out the opposite, that there is no transit.
The,
Sorry.
this board historically, all the areas that were downzoned under the 197A, you're talking about being particularly vulnerable now. We've always been concerned with the private houses that are in R6s, which have big sweats, you know, in the other areas. and, you know, getting torn down piece by piece. I know Jeff has talked about that for years. And we were frustrated
It's the
because
one
it
in
was
Van
R
Horn
six.
Village right now.
Right.
But
because
just
it's
see,
R6,
one ninety-seven
now-
may actually save us.
But
Tell
wait,
you what.
but now, what's being vulnerable, or even the R1s, 2s, 3s, 4, you know, in other words, we've been railing about the other, you know, for decades. I mean, we've just, and just look at our 197A. I mean, the fact that we want to preserve low scale and low, you know, low density, I think is just part of what this board, Community Board 8 has always been about. Diversity in building. We have tall, we have sky views, we have everything. And it's a richness.
I agree, but let me make a point here. The 197A is a zoning change they can't mess with without changing the zoning and without changing the 197. So it gives you a real good hook in the courthouse. And that's another point that you have to think about as a policy matter, Julie. In the event we go down this road, we're gonna need you to tell us whether you and the executive committee, and we'll have to talk to the borough president, whether or not we're prepared to take on pro bono counsel to sue where necessary. You're not gonna be able, I'm not saying Mandami's gonna take one position or another. I'm simply saying that I need to know where you wanna go. You being the board.
Okay, great. So it'll be a discussion at the next.
There'll be a discussion at exec.
So that was the additional item I wanted to put to you, because I think this is now, you just can't kid with this stuff. I'll give you an example. Price you picked up on Terrace View. I appeared before the Board of Standards and Appeals opposing the change. Because it was gonna create greater bulk and more importantly, a hell of a traffic mess. For the bus going along and emergency vehicles going along that road between. It's beginning down on whatever the number street is, all the way down to the train station. And MTA was aware of that and it started to contemplate the possibilities by the changes it's making there. And pretty advanced. That problem is gonna now be magnified because that land, and they're only talking about one large parcel of it, that land's gonna have some value. It's cleared land. That's the biggest problem in housing. What New York City has been building on for the last 5 to 10 years are the properties that I condemned in 1966 and 67 with the fires in the Bronx and elsewhere, and landlord refused to maintain. That part of buildings is gone, with the exception of properties that are just too expensive to build because there's too much rock or there's too much other problems. But it's gone. So the problem is, where do you find it? They don't look. They don't want to look. I'll give you an example of that too. There's a vacant garage from sanitation opposite St. Barnabas Hospital. It's been vacant for 10 years. It'll always stay vacant. Why? Sanitation, like most city agencies and most governmental agencies, is proprietary. It's mine today, and it may be mine tomorrow. Why give it away? But that's a perfect site for affordable housing. And there are many more just like it. So those are the issues I think we need to talk about. I don't know, and this again, Julie, is you, whether or not this ought to be in conjunction with the housing committee. I have no problem if you say yes. I leave that to you. But these are the issues I would like to bring up now. You can't solve them in one meeting or even 2 or 3. But you can start thinking about doing it. I think it's about time to put on a few hats. Okay? So, Barry, you have our agenda for the next meeting. Can I have, has everybody received a copy of and had an opportunity to review the committee minutes of September 4 and September 30? May I have a motion to accept them unless somebody has a correction, modification, or the like.
Motion to approve.
So, all those in favor? Done. You heard the chairperson's monologue. Is there anything else that anyone wants to raise?
I have a question. Can we, as a community board, assuming we all agree, support council member Denowitz's bill to specify the number of rooms in what are considered to be affordable housing developments?
I see no reason why we can't do it legally. And as you may know or may not know, I don't know if the Riverdale person covered it. They interviewed me on this last week.
It's in this week's paper. It raised the issue that has been raised before, that when developers agree to do affordable housing, they tend to fill the quota with one-bedroom apartments,
Mhm.
which
Studios, yeah.
I'm not sure who moves into those, or whom they're attracted to.
Well, that was the issue we had at, I think, Van Cortlandt South.
That's in this week's,
And that was, I think that was our exact point, because it was mostly, I mean, they can rent
there are
two studios for more than they can in two bedrooms.
That's right, and I mean, there ought to be, if you're gonna consider, if the notion is to build housing that's affordable for families.
Right.
One bedroom doesn't work.
Right.
Two bedrooms may
Right.
not work.
And the
Right.
last two big buildings, like in Marble Hill, that were replacing older, just single family houses. Are just luxury 1 and 2 bedrooms, and they both sat empty now for like over a
There's
year, I
a-
don't even understand. what's
There
going
are
on.
two people
It's
on
big.
the line
building
that I
for kids
can't
to dig down.
identify.
Yeah, 'cause
Carolina,
kids don't wanna-
hello? Carolina?
Did you know who Wilton Fishman is? And what?
Mr.
what he has-
Fishman?
Yes.
But yeah, here,
Ah. Good, I'm glad you're here.
Oh, yeah.
I just wanted to make sure who we had here. This,
I'm a resident.
Wilson?
Yeah.
ah,
Great.
and Carolina?
It's Carolina. Yes, I'm here.
Okay. Are you there? We can't see you.
She's a resident.
Are you a resident?
Yes, I am. Yep. I'm on 6045 Broadway.
Okay.
And Wilden, NYSES is, are you representing an agency?
No, I'm
Was-
just listening in. I'm a
Oh,
as a community member.
Yes. We're asking another person now, Wilden.
yeah,
Yeah,
that's her.
that's-
Oh,
That's
sorry.
right.
No, Carolina keeps answering.
Oh.
We're asking Wilden.
Oh, I'm sorry.
What is NYSCS?
New York Solar Energy Society, nonprofit.
Ah,
I just happen to have it in the
That's what
tile.
we like.
I'm on Zooms all day long.
All right. So those are, those are discussions all related to this, and the question I have, Julie, is I don't want to deprive housing of having its appropriate input, so you should think about what you want to do about that. Okay? Okay. Is there anything else anyone wishes to bring to the attention of the committee?
I mean, we can't just meet for 40 minutes.
They wanted to scrub this meeting tonight, and I wouldn't let them, because I don't want to scrub any opportunity for the community person to say anything they want, and we did get, for those who joined late, an issue concerning premises at 1029 East No.
Julie said she'll call you after, 'cause she can't hear
All
well.
right.
Would you mind
39,
if I fix
63 Saxon.
Yeah, it's the only one left to fix.
Marty. Farrell's gonna send you a copy of this, and you and I have to have a conversation. Is there anybody else who wants to pay attention to the Saxon Van Cortlandt Village issue? Is there anyone who wants input into that?
I'll send it to the committee, scan
Send
it.
it to the whole committee, please.
Does does that explain what the whole issue is as opposed to?
I mean,
just
they didn't notify us
filing
of
with the
otherwise.
wrong-
Or as a friend, they're
Maybe
allowed
I
to do it, even though
would
that's
Yeah.
unfortunate.
For
because-
about 6 months, Marty broke his back trying to get cooperation from developers in the Van Cortlandt Village area. And that didn't just include developers, it included the leadership of the synagogue, Van Cortlandt Synagogue, which was doing something that was anathema for many of the residents in the area. And it included some developers. What you have happening there now are SROs. And under City of Yes, and at least one of our council representatives is a proponent of SROs, thinks they're a good thing. So when the community burns down, we'll know who to blame.
Yes,
But there it is,
that was the six.
so. Anything else? Hearing nothing, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion,
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Second, in favor, contrary minded, done.